What's good, YouTube? It's me, boy Squid, back in another video. So Fire Kings are apparently a very accomplished deck now, because as of today, they just won a premier event in Japan. YCS Japan Nagoya, which had a couple of thousand people, was won by Fire King. Now, for those of you guys who have been following the OCG along recently, you'll know that Fire King was already a decent deck along the lines of tier 1.5 to tier 2, because they recently got a new structure deck called Onslaught of the Fire Kings that has a bunch of modernized Fire King cards, which actually makes the deck quite scary. You're now able to put up some disruptions on your opponent's turn and pop their monsters during your opponent's turn multiple times, so it's very, very powerful. Not to mention, they actually got some new support for Sinful Spoil stuff, which is already an engine that's playable in the deck, because they actually play a level 1 bird fire monster that can be summoned off of the Seeker of the Sinful Spoils. And now there is a new card that allows them to essentially have a 1-card full combo without using your normal summon, which is absolutely nutty. So the deck is finally tier 1, and it just won. You can see here in the photo with the winner. Obviously, YCS Japan is a little bit hard to base things around, because number 1, it's OCG, which is a different meta, and number 2, their YCSs for some crazy reason are only best 1 out of 1. So there's no best 2 out of 3. There's no side decking. It's just one game. So it's kind of crazy to think about that, you know, anyone could ever play this game best of 1, but somebody did that and Fire Kings won. You can see his deck recipes here, which is really interesting. They do play 3 copies of the Fire King Avatar Arvada, which negates monster effects. This is an older card that was released in Secrets of Eternity as the first wave of Fire King support, which didn't really break the deck at all. But that being said, there are some new cards you can see here. I don't even know what all the cards do yet, to be honest with you. There's a new Garunix, there's a new Kirin, and then there's a new baby bird Garunix, which is summoned off of the Sinful Spoils original spell card. You can see that they maxed out on this engine as well, so it's really, really nice that they have a bunch of extenders. And also, you can't forget Fire King Island, which we can see here hidden away, which is the card that allows them to essentially destroy a card from their hand or field to start searching off their plays and then just triggering off on the monsters. Not to mention, there's a lot of room for non-engine cards in this deck. We can see 3 Max 3 Roll, 3 Ash, 2 Nib, and then, of course, the Called By package with the Cross Designator, which is a staple in the OCG because of Max C's existence. This is just really, really cool for me to see personally. And Bonfire, this is a new Rhoda for Pyro monsters that comes out, I'm not sure when in the TCG. This is in a side set in the OCG, but I assume if Konami's competent, they'll probably bring it as an import in Phantom Nightmares, so we can actually enjoy playing this deck at its maximum potential. And then beyond all of this, there was actually some insane Link support for fire monsters in the form of Prisoner Princess, which is a card that came out of Phantom Nightmare. Generic Link 3 that says you can resurrect a fire monster from your graveyard. So it's crazy. You can just rank Link Climb into this. It doesn't have any restrictions besides 2 effect monsters. Instantly go into this and resurrect a fire monster. Doesn't even negate the effect of the monster it brings back. So you can continue playing. And because this monster actually locks you into fire types, you have to summon fire types while she's on the table, you can actually play this card called Amphibla Whale, which is a Link monster that we already have, Amblo Whale. He's a Link 4 that requires 2 generic effect monsters, and he actually, when he's destroyed, you can target a Link 3 or lower monster in either graveyard, special summon it. So this card is actually instant slot into the Fire King archetype, because you can easily pop your monsters, and when you pop this bad boy, you get to resurrect a level 3 Link 3 or lower monster, from either player's graveyard, which is really nice. Imagine resurrecting like SP Little Knights or whatever the heck you want to, and it's just nuts. But it doesn't stop there. This has another effect in the graveyard. If a Link 3 or lower monster on the field is destroyed by battle card effect while this is in your graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard to pop a card on the field. So it has a lot of utility, and the fact that this card is fire is insane with Prisoner Princess, because the restriction just goes away when you just link off the Prisoner Princess, Link Climb into the Blow Whale, and then start playing your combos. So it's just really, really neat. I thought I would just talk about this because we are getting this in the TCG in the next month in December, and then in Phantom Nightmare we'll get that in the new year. So this deck will definitely be on the horizon. And actually somebody posted the 1-card combo on Reddit, so I'm going to show you guys this. Shout out to the dude that actually posted this onto Reddit, but this is a really, really insane combo, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so let's take a look at this combo that this gentleman posted on Reddit, but essentially you make use of Bonfire, which is a new Rhoda. It says, add 1 level 4 or lower pyro monster from your deck to your hand, and it's a hard ones per turn. Thank God it's a hard ones per turn, because Rhoda was broken at 3, but they had some sense to put this restriction onto the card. It's already good. Now we're actually going to add Snake Eyes Populace, which is a new card that I was talking about. coming out in Phantom Nightmare, which is a Snake Eye support. And this bad boy is a level 1 fire monster, Pyro, who says if this card is added to your hand except by drawing it, you can special summon it. And then if this card is special or normal, you can add 1 Snake Eye Spiral Trap from your deck to your hand. And then on top of that, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a fire monster in your graveyard, place it in the owner's spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, and it's obviously a hard once per turn. But this has a lot of utility because of the fact you can just add it off a bonfire and immediately trigger its effect to special out as an extender, and then add a Snake Eye Spiral Trap card is just really nutty. But on top of all of that, you can actually also add this off of something like Pot of Prosperity, because we have Prosperity at 3, but they only have it at 1, right? So it just like potentially adds new lines for the deck. But without further ado, let's continue the combo. We're going to summon out the Populace, use the effect to add original Sinful Swallow Snake Eye. So Populace becomes a copy of Witch without having to discard, because you could just use it off of 1 bonfire, whereas Witch, you kind of have to send something to summon her out, right? But this card requires 0 investment. So it's really, really neat. You could even normal summon it and take advantage of the effect as well. It's just a really, really powerful card, I think, for the archetype. Now we're going to link off the Populace into Link Rainbow, and because she was sent to the graveyard by her own effect, you can use the effect to bring her back as a continuous Spiral Trap card. So it's like she comes back as a free resource. And how are we going to make use of her? Well, you're going to find out now, because we're going to send her off with Snake Eye. The fact that the Populace brings herself back onto the table means we can just send her for free off of Snake Eye, which circumvents that send cost that previously would be intact for the card. We're going to bring out Snake Eye Ash, which uses the effect to resurrect, or add rather, the legendary Fire King Ponix. Okay, this card is a level 1 Pyro Winged Beast, the baby version that we originally saw, I think, in Circle of the Fire Kings, but that was like 10 years ago, which is nuts. They finally printed out a baby version of Garunix. She says, if your monster that was originally fire is destroyed by battle card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then if this card is normal or special, you can add 1 Fire King Spiral Trap from your deck to your hand. So it's a Stratos for Fire King spells or traps. And then during the next standby phase, after this card was destroyed and sent to the graveyard, add this card from your graveyard to your hand. Kind of a true to lore Phoenix card. Okay, now, because we haven't used our normal, we can immediately normal out the legendary Fire King Ponix, add Sanctuary of the Fire Kings, which is a continuous fire card that says, when this card is activated, you can place 1 Fire King Island from your deck face up in your field spell zone. What? This is like a powerful terraforming on crack? And then once per turn, if a card in your field spell zone would be destroyed by a card effect, you can destroy a fire monster in your hand or field instead. Protection! Crazy! And then once per turn, it doesn't stop there. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can immediately after this effect resolves, XYZ summon 1 Fire XYZ monster using only Fire King monsters you control as material. 3 broken effects. Okay, I guess this is the state of the game where we have to print cards that have 3 busted effects. Okay, gonna activate that, place a free Fire King Island, and for those guys that don't know, this says, if this face-up card in the field spell is destroyed or banished, destroy all monsters you control. And then during your main phase, you can pop a monster in your hand or you control. And if you do, add 1 Fire King monster from your deck to your hand. So it's Draconic Diagram for Fire Kings. Also, it has the effect, if you control no monsters, you can special summon 1 Fire Winged Beast type from your hand to your field. So kind of nice that it has that option. And then from there, we're going to link off these 2 bad boys into Pit Knight early. Interesting. This is a fire monster. And now we're going to use Fire King Island to pop the Pit Knight early, because when Pit Knight is destroyed during the end phase, you can actually special summon him. So really, really nice interaction there. I love how all these cards that like getting popped are fires, of course. Adding Sacred Fire King Garunix. This is a new Garunix that says, if your monster that was originally fire is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, if it was there when the monster was destroyed, or hand. And then if this card is normal or special, you can destroy 1 Fire Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast in your hand, deck, or face-up field, except Sacred Fire King Garunix. And if you do, this card gains attack equal to half the destroyed monster's attack until the end of the turn. So you can pop a card from the field, the deck. This is nuts. And because we actually popped the Pit Knight early to add Sacred Fire King Garunix, and because it's a card effect in hand, a lot like the interaction with Signet Mining plus adding Gazelle, or the Altergeist Protocol and adding a copy of the Multifaker, we can immediately trigger the effect in hand because it's an unknown card. It's not public knowledge, so that's how the ruling works. Even though you added it and didn't see Pit Knight getting destroyed, you can still activate it. So we're going to use the effect here on the summon to pop a copy of Fire King Avatar Kieran from our deck that says, during the main phase, if this card is in your hand, quick effect, you can destroy 1 other fire monster in your hand or face up field. And if you do special summon this card, cool. You could dodge Imperm, I guess, with this guy. It's a lot like Shavara. And then the other effect is, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Fire King monster from your hand or graveyard. except Kieran. Then you can destroy one card on the field. What? These cards are so powerful. This is the first time I'm reading a lot of these guys. Okay, so now that we destroyed this, I'm assuming we can resurrect something from the graveyard and then pop a card on the field, non-targeting. Could be our opponent's card as well. Wow, these cards are really, really powerful. Thank God a Rise card is banned. Okay, bringing back the Ponyx, and then from here, we are actually going to pop the Ponyx, I assume. Oh, no, we're not going to pop the Ponyx. Excuse me. We're going to link off the baby Garunix and the big Garunix into Sunlight Wolf, because why not? Use the effect of Link Able to tribute off the Snake Eye Ash in order to resurrect itself in the column for the Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf's effect is going to add back the Kieran for follow-up, a lot like you would do in Unchained with Shavara, because this is a quick effect in the hand. Very nice. Now we're going to link these bad boys off into, yes, Promethean Princess, Bestower of the Flames. So Prisoner Princess, it links free. Again, you're locked in fire monsters by your controller. And then during your main phase, you can special summon one fire monster from your graveyard. And if a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field while this card is in the graveyard, you can target a fire monster you control and one face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy them, and if you do, special summon this card. Very, very nice. Okay, but now we're going to use the effect to resurrect the Big Bird Garunix. Now we're going to link off these two. That is a free link climb, so it's a lot like the Hida the Charmer, except for our graveyard, or like Celine, I guess, for better comparison, into Amphibious Ambler Whale. If this card is destroyed, you can special summon a Link 3 monster from either player's graveyard. Very nice. Now we're going to pass our turn. So this is off one card. This is full setup off one card. One Pyro Bonfire card. Allowed us to get Fire King Island, the Amphibla Whale, the Sanctuary of the Fire Kings, and Fire King Avatar Kieran in our hand, which can actually use the effect to destroy the Swarm Ship Ambler Whale, which can then resurrect something from our graveyard. And don't forget that we actually do have the effect of Pit Knight early to bring itself back during the end phase. Very nice. To potentially have a way to negate a monster effect as well. Ooh, very nice. Okay. Now we're going to, during the main phase, after opponent plays something, activate Kieran to pop the Ambler Whale and special summon out Kieran, and then the effect of Ambler Whale will trigger alongside the effect of Garunix, because it says if your monster that has fire was destroyed by card effect, you can special summon it from the grave. So they both come back, and then we're going to bring back the Sunlight Wolf. Okay, and then from here, we're going to activate the effect of Garunix. When he's summoned, you can destroy a card from your deck. And then Pit Knight early is actually going to chain to negate the effect of Garunix. Okay, interesting. Or better yet, change the attack. Target. Okay, never mind. We're just going to change the effect to potentially negate a opponent's monster effect. I'm guessing this is in response to like an opponent's monster effect activating. A little confusing there because we're playing solo mode, but that's all right. Garunix is going to chain the effect to send Kieran. Kieran's effect going to bring back the baby bird for follow-up. Going to be able to search a copy of Fire King Sacred Immolation. Quick play. Target the same number of Fire King monsters you control and cards your opponent controls. Destroy them. If a Fire King card you control will be destroyed by card effect, you can banish the card from your graveyard instead. Okay, so that's like a crazy Raigeki / Lightning Storm. Okay. And now because we summoned out a monster, we can actually, assuming our opponent special summon a monster, we can XYZ summon out the new Fire King monster, which is Garunix Eternity Hyang of the Fire Kings. Huge, whopping rank 8 monster that says if this card is XYZ summoned, you can destroy all other monsters on the field. Also, you can detach one material from this card, then destroy one Sprout Trap on the field as an ignition effect, not a quick effect. If this card is destroyed while it has material, you can special summon Fire King monsters from your graveyard up to the number of materials this card has. Okay, very, very nice. And then we're going to chain the effect to pop, and then chain the effect of Sunlight Wolf because the monster was summoned to add back to Kieran for follow-up on the next turn. And then we are actually going to pop all the monsters. Ambler Whale will trigger, allowing us to bring back... Oh, we also bring back the Promethean Princess as well. So we're going to bring that back off of the Ambler Whale. And then the effect will trigger of Garunix to resurrect itself because Fire Kings were destroyed. And then now you just have a huge board. You have huge follow-up, huge cards in hand. And again, all of this is off one card. You get Pit Knight early back. We still had 4 other cards to play with in our hand. If it was non-engine, it'd be even nicer. I'm actually really liking this deck. So yeah, guys, this is actually a really, really nice combo. What do you guys think about this deck in general? Do you think it'll overperform in the TCG? Or is it something that's overhyped? Let us know in the comments below. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.